Hello everyone, this is Ian from the Hi I'm Ian channel, because of course it is. Welcome to the Week 5 Power Rankings. Oh shit, spoilers. Okay, just forgot to change my slide. This has not been a good past 2 weeks for me. I'm sorry that the video's late. Over the next 2 days, expect me to basically be playing catch-up. There were a lot of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to do coach interviews. I wanted to do the power rankings, and I had so much scheduled, but then, like, a very stressful event occurred within my family, and I kind of had to drop everything. So, I'll try for coach interviews again, maybe at the end of the season, and see if everyone's down for maybe just recounting what happened during their season, rather than just doing a mid-season one. Because my original plan was to do the mid-season, and then do one, and then do a couple with maybe the playoff contenders, and then one with the champion. But obviously the mid-season ones, it's kind of a bit late for that, considering we're going into week 8, and I just have not been there the past 2 weeks. I kind of vanished, and I apologize for that, but I'm back. We'll get it done. We'll get this done. We'll figure something out. So, the 4 mid-season coach interviews that will be up on my channel, those are just a special treat then. For those 4. Because it's kind of a bit too late to do the others. I apologize for that. It's a very unfortunate thing that happened. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. You're here for the power rankings. As delayed as they are. Let's go back down memory lane then, shall we? So, as you probably saw, number 16 is the Real Magikarp. They got 6-0'd again. Arf got destroyed by a Calm Mind Suicune. Sub-toxic Calm Mind Scald. I just think Ice brought the perfect set to this match. The substitute stops Ditto from copying it. And the only real reason he would need to sub up to stop Ditto from copying it, not because of the stat changes, because it would beat that in a Calm Mind War, but the fact that it was carrying Toxic, so that it could beat a Calm Mind Slowbro, meant that it didn't want to get Toxic, then it would clear, and since Ditto should have been Scarfed, well, I say should have, it's just 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Scarfed, so you don't want to get Toxic, because he's going to fire off that Toxic first. But it's very unfortunate the way things went. He took so much damage on his Lycanroc turn 1, and then busted his Z move for not very much damage on a Landorus Therian. He got in his Ditto. As the Landorus set up Stealth Rocks, Ice went into his Suicune. As the Ditto set up Stealth Rocks, and from there on, it proceeded to sub and Toxic and wear down his Slowbro. Slowbro went down. He sacked off his Gligar just to get a Toxic off on it. He sent in his Lycanroc, risked the Stone Edge to put it in range of Bolt Strike, and why he never went Thunderous was because the Suicune was able to set up to +3 on the Slowbro, because a +1 Psyshock did not break Suicune's sub. That's just the bulk of Suicune. I mean, the only criticism, I guess, is that he didn't EV Slowbro's Psyshock to break a Suicune sub, but that's a very minor criticism. That's like a very niche thing you would have to prepare for. And I don't blame him for not, doing that proper EVs. It's just that Ice has brought sub Suicune before, and sub Suicune is one of its trademark sets. So maybe you should prepare for it a bit more. I don't know. I can't really judge. But he basically had to sack off half his team just to get rid of the Suicune. And from there on, Ice was just kind of able to control the rest of the match. Plus, his Ditto wasn't scarfed, so he wasn't able to take out the Ninetales before it set up an Aurora Veil. And then Ninetales was able to just obliterate the Dittoed Landorus Therian with a Blizzard straight after. And he couldn't really switch out, because he didn't really have anything to switch into. And then Ice just cleaned. Poor Arf. This is just not his season. But hey, I'm hoping he can still. I'm hoping he can still pull out at least one victory before the season's over. Let's get it, Arf. I believe in you. Number 15, the Washington Clawitserds. APB. I can't really say APB played this match horribly. I can't really say APB really even did that much wrong. Upon team preview, Will has brought, this exact team before. This exact team before, minus Milotic. Maybe replace Alolan Muck with Milotic. Will has brought Diggersby every single week. Will has brought Mega Gallade and Zapdos, I think, every week. So, this is the team he was prepared for, but he was not prepared for the sets. I'm pretty sure every week, Will has brought in Choice Scarf Diggersby. That was not what he brought this week. This week he brought Agility's Baton Pass Zapdos Hyper Offense. And that was not good for his team. One thing I will say about APB is turn 1, he was able to get rid of Mega Gallade. Turn 1, which if Mega Gallade at any point in the match got a Baton Pass, got an Agility into an SD, that was also game. So, yeah, getting rid of that turn 1 while Will was not expecting that. I mean, his ground type this match was Diggersby, so it's not like he was. I probably wouldn't have risked that turn 1 either. And the only criticism I can really say is that one Zapdos was clearly intent on trying to get out of that situation. It was Terrakion versus Zapdos. And Zapdos was clearly trying to get out of that situation with a substitute up so that I could get a free Baton Pass into something. He switched out into his Nihilego on I believe a what was it? On I believe a Roost from the Zapdos, or was it a sub? Either way. And instead of clicking Power Gem or anything to hit the Zapdos, he clicked, I believe, Hidden Power. Not entirely sure what Hidden Power it was. I think it might have been Hidden Power Fire? I'm looking at Will's team. I looked at Will's team and I'm not quite sure what Hidden Power it was. But either way, it wasn't able to break the sub, and Will ended that altercation with exactly what he wanted. He had a +4 speed Diggersby, and since Nihilego was in, that allowed him to set up an SD on Nihilego, and then let Diggersby get 6 kills. So, this may have been APB's biggest loss of the season. I'm hoping he can do better because I know APB is a good player. I don't think he's played badly this season. I think he's just kind of... First of all, he's been facing really tough opponents. And I don't know. I can't really defend it. It's just something that I know has just been very unfortunate for APB. I believe he's going to not end this season 0-10, though. I think he's going to get at least one win. I would bet money on that. So, anyway, let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals. Oh boy, this was another instance of Magic using his Zoroark and destroying somebody's team with it. So, Dougal got extremely unlucky in this match, considering his Florges got Thunderbolt parried, and then I believe got parried twice. But up until the end game where Florges may have been able to stall out his team if it wasn't for the Thunderbolt para, I don't think this matchup would have went his way anyway, because Magic just made a great play in knowing that he would, on the Skarmory, knowing that he would set up Stealth Rocks. He sends in his Zoroark disguised as Rotom Wash and knows that he was going to go into one of his counters. Presumably Roserade, which is the perfect switch into Rotom Wash. He just throws off a knockoff as Zoroark, knowing that that was the sequence of events that was going to happen, and that just allowed him to get rid of the Roserade like turn 3. And also Dougal, when his Hoop Unbound was in, and Zoroark was disguised as David's Lottie, instead of scouting to potentially see if it was Zoroark, and a lot of people in the chat were pretty certain that was Zoroark, instead of scouting by going to Florges, he instead decided to just leave in his Hoopa and then got U-turned and then died. So David just pounced on Dougal's team with a Zoroark. I don't want to underplay how lucky it was that he didn't get attacked, that he didn't get those Moonblasts off. That would have just kind of neutralized Como and wouldn't have allowed Florges to take damage because of the Thunderbolt paras. I'm not going to understate that was important, but I feel like the match was not going Dougal's way before that. So, I'm not really going to move him up or, say that the hacks would have completely turned around the match. So anyway, we're going to move on to number 13, and Alex is going to need to take a big fall this game because he got 6-0'd. This is not his first time getting 6-0'd. It's just when two of your losses are 6-0s, and that's something that you can't say about any of the other 2 and 3 teams, then I kind of have to put you at the bottom. Granted, Omega had perfect prep for this match, and there really wasn't anything that Alex could do when Azumarill set up a belly drum. That was just one of the major things that I thought about his draft. He was very prone to getting set up on, and he did. There's not really too much to say this. It's like once Omega got up rocks, and once Omega got the damage he needed on the Mega Ampharos, the stage was already set for Azumarill to sweep. it did not take much effort on Omega's part at all to get that off. Granted, Alex did get parried on the turn that Scizor BP'd an agility into a Azumarill. Thus, if Alex had any niche prep of trying to outspeed a Azumarill with maybe his Tangrowth or his Mega Ampharos, that's completely rendered it null and void. It allowed Azumarill to basically get a free setup on the Cobalion, but that's kind of what Thunder Wave is for. Like, I'm not going to underplay how important that was. It's just the agility. Excuse me. The agility, the substitute, and then the hidden power fire as he baton passed into Azumarill. That was game. It was over. Sorry, Alex. I still think you're doing well with the team you got. It's just you kind of fell short this week. I'm sorry. Number 12 is the Philadelphia Scolipeds. In Versify, I think this match was played... this is my least favorite type of match. See, I don't exactly know how the match would have went had there not been multiple crits on Inversify's side. I feel like it would have been close. I feel like Zhao would have won, but that's just gut instinct, and I definitely believe Inverse could still pull out the victory. It's just, the Synchronoise tech on Jolteon to actually hit Rotom for good damage, that was cool. I liked that. But I don't think it was supposed to knock out Rotom at 55%. But it did. But it did with a crit. And Zhao's like, really his big check. I mean, he technically had two. He had Celesteela. Like, Celesteela is another really great Scizor check. But his big Scizor check and his Infernape check were both gone right then and there. Primarina got crit with a bullet punch upon switch in. I just feel like this was kind of an ugly game. Inversify was able to pull out the victory. It's sad that this had all the makings of a great game, but I just don't have too much to say about it other than there was a lot of hacks. And I guess I'll talk a bit more about it when we get to Zhao, but I don't know. Good for you, Inversify. You're 2-3 now. I still believe he can still attempt to make a run at playoffs. He just needs to win out a lot of the rest of his matches. Because this season, he only has to make top 8. He doesn't need to fight in divisions or fight for a spot in your division or anything. You just need to make top 8. So, we'll see. We'll see how things go for Inverse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The analysis on this one isn't going to be good. I just don't really have too much to say on it. Like, it's not like Will and Genius's match last week where it was so hacksy it was almost funny. This one, it's just... the match was incredibly even up to that point, and then Inversify just ran through the rest of his team with crits, completely destroying any chance for it to be like, wow, that was a really close and good game. And I just don't have too much to say on it. So we'll go to number 11 in the Toronto Weezings. Why I moved Daniel down is because I feel like the other 2 and 3 teams have pulled out really great wins themselves. Have pulled out really great wins themselves these weeks, and Daniel almost won this match because of hacks. Granted, he deserved it. He got after his Entei got crit, completely destroying any chance of him winning the previous week. But the hacks did show up. He kind of got stunted on by an Assault Vest Amoonguss early in the match. One thing I will say about Daniel, he is not afraid to immediately pop those Z moves on Gengar. Like, he sees an opportunity to get big damage off on somebody's Pokemon, he goes for it. But this week he just he took a lot of damage on his Electros. He took a stomping tantrum on his Gengar. He took an HP flying on his Chestnut. Everything got weakened by this Assault Vest Amoonguss that I don't even think Rise Pool really intended to be a lead Amoonguss to do massive damage to his team. It just ended up being that way. I feel like it was supposed to check things like Electros, like Chestnut, like Gengar, but it ended up just putting so much damage on Daniel's team. It allowed things like Greninja to be an even bigger threat. It allowed things like Jellicent to even be a threat. Heatran, because I think Electros may have been his best switch into Heatran on this team. He didn't exactly have one. He had Flygon, but yeah. At the position he was in, it was a very close match. Rise Pool had EV'd his Buzzwole to be able to take an Icicle Crash plus a Sacred Fire from Entei, which is insane, by the way. And Daniel then proceeded to get multiple flinches on Buzzwole with Icicle Crash to put it in range of not just a Sacred Fire, but pretty much a Sacred Fire. So then he went... eventually Buzzwole was able to break through and take out the Weavile, which if he didn't take out the Weavile, that might have just been GG right there. But it forced Rise Pool into a position where he had to make a play. I'll talk more about Rise Pool and his great prep when it comes to it. Daniel was just almost able to pull out the win because of his Weavile flinching down the Buzzwole. And if Buzzwole did end up going down, then the game was over, because Flygon could just come in and click Scarf DQ and win. It just forced the end game to become a 50-50 that Rise Pool won. And I don't know. I'm not going to say the hacks completely subtracted from the game, because, again, it came down to a 50-50. It wasn't like a certain win scenario for Daniel. He still had to predict a certain set on Rise Pool's part. It's just, it seemed like this was a game that Rise Pool had until the hacks occurred. And who knows, Sacred Fire still has a 50% chance to burn, so maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on this. Like, odds are Daniel was going to get some form of something when you fire off all these moves with secondary effects. So maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on that. And I recognize that I might be putting too much emphasis on that. So we'll move on. Also, he's been on a 3-game losing streak, which carrying momentum is also something I kind of take into consideration. Like, when someone's on a downward slope like Daniel has been, it's harder for them to start pulling out these victories because I can see things get deflated. But he's played 3 really solid teams the past 3 weeks, so I'm not going to take too much away from him. We'll move on to the Los Angeles Lookers, who pulled out a win against Ace this week. And while I'm uncertain about a lot of Jarrett's prep, like the Rotom fan not having Volt Switch, that might have just been move slot syndrome, it would have allowed it to just get stalled out by Gothitelle if Ace really wanted to do that. Not having Curse or Rest on his Recycle Berry, on his Snorlax, instead deciding to run Recycle Berry, which also would have allowed it to be beaten by Gothitelle. Basically what I'm saying is Jarrett's team was very prone to Gothitelle. I'm saying his Snorlax may have his Slowbro may have potentially had Roar on it, but that's like, I feel like he under-prepped quite a little for Gothitelle, but the rest of his team was very well prepped. The Charty Berry Rotom Fan to be an Excadrill counter was nice. The Assault Vest, I'm pretty sure that had to be Assault Vest. He took 30 from a Surf from a Tapu Fini. That had to be Assault Vest. To take on Hydreigon and to be able to knock that out, to get a surprise kill on that, if it just thought it was going to Draco through his team. Because, I'm not going to lie, the Hydreigon on Ace's part is great, because it allows him to have a Dragon type that's not affected by Misty Terrain because of Levitate. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that prep didn't really work out, because Ace had Superpower on his Hydreigon. Look at this. But yeah, I don't feel like Jarrett misplayed it all in this game, and allowed what I'm assuming was a Scarf Durant just come in and pick up a kill. And I gotta say, you deserve to be in the top 10 if you're winning games off of the back of Durant. If you use Durant well, you deserve to be in the top 10. That's what I'm going to say about that. I feel like the prep was a bit weird, but at the same time, it worked. And I'll talk more about a big reason why it worked when we get to Ace, who won't be coming up too far from now. But we're going to move on to my game of the week, and potentially my game of the season. Then again, I only really take into consideration Beedrill for these videos, so makes sense why I'd view this as game of the season. So, this is only for Beedrill. I'm sure Mega Bee, Kakuna, and Weedle have great games too. But the San Francisco Star Raptors, coached by Genius, and he picked up a win against L5 this week, returning from the disaster of a game that was against Will to fire off this great win versus L5. Was amazing. I feel like his prep was on point. Even though he was missing a move on Houndoom. And I gotta say, Showdown has created so many errors this season that it's not even funny. Like, Showdown has created so many losses for so many teams that really didn't deserve that loss. But this was not that case. He had Dark Pulse, Pursuit, and Flamethrower. I'm gonna put emphasis on Pursuit. And his prep for this game was just fantastic. Defensive Mew, L5's team could not kill Defensive Mew. It had such a hard time dealing with it. Like, the Zygarde was specifically built so that it didn't lose to a defensive Ice Beam Mew, and then it ended up losing to a defensive Ice Beam Mew. Granted, Genius still did have to sack off 2 Pokemon to get it to that point, but Mew was not taking much from the attacks that he put on that Pokemon, so in the end, he might have just been able to stall it out with that Mew anyway. The way he played his Houndoom to make sure that he didn't get any statuses or defogs off, and then he got a free hit off or to force in Toxapex that he could take advantage of. The defensive and offensive Crocodile that put on a lot of pressure onto his team. That's really all he needed. The Houndoom, the Houndoom, the Crocodile, and the Mew. Those 3 Pokemon alone put so much pressure on the team. Dragonite didn't really do much. Rotom Fan got a KO, but it didn't really come in too often, I don't think. And Genius just having that little tech for a very certain situation, the Pursuit tech. Now, it was the end game. L5 had taken down the Mew off the back of Hacks, but hey, it was Icicle Crash plus Thunder Wave. That was his play, and he went for it. I'm not going to knock him too much on that, because at that point, I think with the percentages, it's kind of Hacks if you... It's technically a lower percentage for you not to get the flinch. Like, I know you're playing off of Hacks, but playing for Hacks is a legitimate strategy. It's why people run Thunder Wave and Body Slam Jirachi into, like, Serene Grace, Iron Head, and Air Slashes. Like, it's a strategy. If that's how you want to win games, then that's a way you can win games. Like, I'm not going to knock it too much if I can tell that's what they're going for, rather than something that they just kind of have to hope and pray happens. But, okay, so Toxapex was weakened. It was lowered to the point where it could not take a Dark Pulse from Mega Houndoom. It was Mega Houndoom versus Piloswine, Klefki, and Toxapex. He sacks off the Piloswine, goes into his Toxapex, which could not take a Dark Pulse, and then was going to double into Klefki to get the Regenerator back and win the game. Genius makes the, genius play, and, in hindsight, it was really his only play, but just the genius tech of having it on the team, goes for Pursuit, does not allow Toxapex to get that Regenerator recovery because of Stealth Rocks, and then was able to take out the Klefki next turn, and win the game with Mega Houndoom. That was amazing. That was the best ending to a game this season, I think. Genius deserves to be, I think, at least this week, the top-ranked 2 and 3 team. So we'll move on to the 3 and 2 teams, and back to his familiar spot of number 8 is Ace in the Anaheim Altarius. Now, while I think Jarrett had a weird prep this week, I think Ace kinda, excuse my language here, I think Ace fucked himself. Like, so badly. It was so bad. I'm so sorry. But it was not good. It was not good having all this, it was not good having all this go against him. Okay, after he got blown back by Charty Berry, Foul Play, Rotom Fan, which I will give credit to Jarrett for that prep at least. He was on the back foot. He was trying to find a way to beat Snorlax, so he tried to Toxic it, and Misty Terrain stopped him from getting that Toxic off with his Gigalith, and he basically was forced to sack off his Gigalith for no reason. And in the end, Rest Gothitelle could not potentially try to stall out. It couldn't even make an attempt to stall out the Duran and play for misses because of the fact that he had Misty Terrain up. So he kind of built sets in a way that his own terrain fucked over, and he couldn't play that, and he couldn't play the game the way he wanted because he got screwed over by his own terrain. And Mega Kangaskhan was always kept in check by Tornadus and its superpower. Mamoswine was bulky. Snorlax was able to stop Gothitelle from getting too much recovery off. It was able to keep that weakened. I think Jarrett just did a good job of keeping everything in Ace's team in check. And I guess it's a good lesson for future weeks. Be careful how you use Misty Terrain. It may just come back to bite you in the butt. So, we'll move on to the Barcelona Bagons, and Ice got a 6-0 this week. I would have potentially moved him up higher, but, well, let's put it this way. I'm sorry, but 6-0ing Arf at this point is not a novelty in this season. I feel bad, but it's the third time it's happened. I'm not discrediting whenever you get a 6-0. He's still moving up 3 spots, and he's coming off the back of a very solid win that half his Pokemon didn't even need to hit the field for. This was just the Suicune show. I don't really have too much to say on Ice's side that I feel like wasn't already said on Arf's side. I feel like he just played the game really well. The Suicune was prepped well. The Landorus was used basically as a bait for Ditto, which I'm surprised he used it. It was used that way because Arf has a Gligar. You would think that would be the initial switch in. But then again, I guess if it was a setup Lando, he didn't want to risk it being set up. But he would have risked it being set up anyway on Landorus. I doubt he would have had set up HP Ice to hit his own Landorus. Like, I'm not really sure why Arf played the Landorus the way he did. Or played his Ditto the way he did. He kind of just freely let Ice do whatever he want with his Suicune. And, yeah. Ice ran through him with a Suicune. Moving on to L5 of the Oakland Rosa Raiders. Now, L5 had a camouflage Dragon Dance facade Zygarde. In theory, where you maybe get toxic or status in some way, this would work. This would hurt your opponent's team. But when you're +3 and you're not even 2-hit KOing Mew, at that point it's hard to think whether or not you're actually countering the Pokemon. Now, I feel like Genius just prepped his Pokemon in such a way that just allowed him to take advantage of L5's team. It felt like L5 was always needing to play catch-up for the fact that he could never get rocks off the side of the field, and Genius was always punishing those switch-outs. L5 still had his win con in the back, which was Toxapex, and he couldn't have predicted this Pursue play. Like, he had to do that play. He had to come in and then switch out and not get flinched with Toxapex. By doing the Pursue play, he made sure that it didn't come down to him needing... That Genius made sure that it didn't come down to him needing to flinch. And that was his play. And L5 couldn't have predicted it. So I'm not going to knock him too far on that. I'm just going to say Genius prepped really well. I did think something was funny. It didn't actually come into play in the match. I think L5 specifically ran knockoff. I think because Earthquake didn't do as much damage to Genius's team, and he probably would have assumed that Metagross was Shuckleberry for a +2 Earthquake to live that and then get a Rock Slide off. Or some type of big hit off on Pinsir. So he ran knockoff, and Metagross happened to be Cobra Berry. So, I mean, he managed to kill him with a quick attack next turn. I just find it funny that I think the tech move he packed specifically for that Pokemon still ended up being countered by that Pokemon. It just felt like in this match in particular, L5, his Klefki got taken advantage of, his Lilligant being his grass type took advantage of. Like, Lilligant was his initial switch into Crocodile, and it took over 75% from a move from Crocodile. So that wasn't very good. But, hey, it was still a well-played match by L5, and he has been killing it this season. So, I'm not going to knock him too hard. We're going to move on to the Blackburn Snovers. Again, I don't really have too much to say on this match. I think the game was very even until the crits happened. It took away his pre-Marina, which was potentially one of the only things that could limit hit from Infernape. Basically, the Synchronize from Jolteon took away the things that could eat a hit from Infernape and took away the things that could eat a hit from Mega Scizor, because at that point Celesteela was weakened. Tyranitar wasn't going to be able to 1v1 the rest of his team. Garchomp and Azelf were... I think Garchomp by that point was gone, and Azelf was weakened to the point of being taken out by priority. It's just his team was weakened by crits to the point where Mega Scizor just came in and won. And his Primarina, which could have lived 2 hits from a Mega Scizor, got crit upon switch-in and could no longer take 2 hits from Mega Scizor. Zhao, why I still think he's the best out of the 3 and 2 teams, like the highest ranked, is because both of his losses this season have come from getting hacked in some variation. So I'm not going to discredit him so badly, and I'm not going to have too much to say about these last couple teams, because I'm sure the video's long enough as it is, and I feel like I've already kind of explained a lot of the stuff that happened in these matches, and I don't really have too much to say on these teams other than they played and prepped very well. So I'm just going to leave it at Zhao. I almost called him Jolt. Zhao. I don't know. I just don't have too much else to say. We'll move on. The FC Poplio, coached by David, number 4. He stays where he is. There was a bit of hacks involved, but I mean, again, I've already stated I don't think Florges was going to win the match on its own, because I think at that point it was like 5-2 or 5-3 or 4-2. Like, it was some... Like, David had the numbers advantage. He would have... I don't think Florges would have been able to Wish Protect against the entirety of the rest of his team. I feel like it would have ended up with David being the winner anyway. And Dougal did not play around David's Zoroark, whether that was David using his Zoroark well or Dougal not really playing around it as well as he should have. It led to Zoroark still being a giant threat on David's team. And hey, he's proving why Zoroark is a round 3 pick, I guess. So you go, David. Like I said, I don't really have too much to say. He played this match incredibly well. He made sure he played this match incredibly well. Like I said, he made the play of going into Rotom on the Skarmory, which was actually a Zoroark, to bait in the Roserade to knock it out turn 3, which was an excellent play on his part. And yeah, from then on, David just had all the momentum in this match. The paralysis on floor just was unfortunate, but I don't think it would have changed the decision of the game. And David has been also killing it this season. He's been getting lucky, but I don't think the hacks has completely, has been the reason why he's been doing so well this season. He's only number 4 because I think the top 3 teams have been doing slightly better. And by slightly better, I mean, again, I kind of need to do it on, a weekly basis. If I think Rise Pool and Omega played better in that certain week, spoiler for the other 3, but for the other 2, but there's only 3 teams left. If I think the other 4 and 1 teams played better, then I just need to move this one to number 4 for that week. It's basically when teams have the same record And I mean, if a 2-3 team I think is playing better than a 3-2 team, I'll think about moving them up a spot. It's just when it comes down to same record and they have very similar differentials, I just need to come down to okay, who played better this week. And I'm not saying David had the least impressive performance. I'm just saying this week I found the other victories just as impressive. And moving on to impressive victories, the Rhine Valley Guardians. I'm just going to talk about the end game. Rise Pool made the 50-50 double into a Scarf Heatran, was able to catch off guard the Entei because Daniel was not expecting Scarf Heatran. He thought after the hacks he had the game in the bag, got caught off guard by Scarf Heatran, got knocked out. The Buzzwole lived a hit from Flygon that was forced to go for Earthquake, and Rise Pool pulled out the victory. Like I said, AV Amoongus, very good this matchup. Greninja, very good this matchup. Mandibuzz checked what it needed to check. It basically came down to that end game, which Rise Pool was prepared for, and he was able to pull out the win despite the hacks. I think fighting through that hacks made this victory just that much more impressive because he made the play that he needed to make. Some will say it was his only play, but he could have easily gave up, but he did fight back, and I will give him credit for that. So we'll move on to our number 2 team, the Chicago Caracostas. He got a 6-0 off a belly drum at Azumarill. I mean, I'm not just going to end the segment there, even though I could. He played the game to a way where he didn't even need to agility pass into Azumarill. Like, Cobalion was paralyzed. Mega Ampharos had chip on it. The Focus Sash on a Selgor was broken, if he had one, and I'm pretty sure with how much damage that he was doing to the Scizor, he was spexed anyway. I feel like even without the agility, he would have won that game. I just felt like at that point, he just kind of stunted on them with the agility pass Scizor into Azumarill, and that was game. Just made sure that Alex didn't have, like I said, Alex didn't have any niche prep, like trying to make sure that he outsped with his Tangrowth or anything. Because if you ran max speed Jolly Tangrowth, he still would have been able to eat an Aqua Jet and outspeed and go for Giga Drain, and with Giga Drain in the Rocky Helmet chip, or some type of grass move. He could have packed like Energy Ball or Leaf Storm for all I know. With the Rocky Helmet chip plus that, he could have knocked out Azumarill. The agility baton pass into that just negated any chance of that happening. And Omega played this game very well, pulled out a dominating win, and puts him in, I think, the best spot of the 4-1 teams. And now we go to the man who cannot be stopped. This man is the actual New England Patriots of the Beedrill division. That's Will. And winning games off the back of Diggersby. I love it. Like, he had such niche prep this week, and that's just what Will is. He's niche prep the man. And that makes it very hard to understand what he's going to do next. You never know. Oh God, everything about this was amazing. The fact that he got turn 1 blown back by Mega Gallade, and then just got turn 1 blowback by Tapu Koko on his Mega Gallade, and his reaction was just, oh. Okay. Well then, let's go to plan B. Because I'm sure his initial plan was to win with agility pass into Gallade, but hey, he had to back up an agility pass into Diggersby, and that just, at that point, ran through the rest of APB's team. I mean, you look at APB's team, really, he also could have had agility pass into SD for Alligator, and that would have also, It's basically, all I needed to do was get an agility pass to one of his Pokemon. It didn't really matter which one. Okay, it might have mattered if it was a Alolan Muck. Actually, a Alolan Muck kind of ran through his team too. Holy crap. I mean, aside from Terrakion, I guess, but... That's just funny. That's why we packed Giga Drain on our Alolan Mucks. But yeah, there's not too much to say about that. See, agility pass to an SD Diggersby in one. He managed the game to being able to do that. Also, the man misclicked on agility and APB just kind of gave him a freebie, like, oh, my bad, I'll go for a hidden power that doesn't break your sub. This man misclicked, and it still worked out for him. Yeah, that's the video, guys. Somebody stop this man. Somebody stop this man, even though I know that they won't. Nah, but seriously. Well, we'll end it here. Bye, guys.